I'll be the first to admit that I'm an Avalon shill. I do Avalon Hill hope posting. I'm huffing that hopium. I have what some might say a very positive, optimistic outlook on the future of Avalon Hill as a company and for all of the products that it touches, whether they are original works or things that they are revitalizing through obtaining licenses, particularly for older board games that are just out of print or impossible to get these days unless you go onto the secondhand markets and you're prepared to spend some cash. We all know that they have done a fantastic job with HeroQuest. Not only did they bring it back front and center, but they were able to achieve the no mean feat of remastering and basically re-releasing all of the older content expansions, even those that were previously UK or European exclusive. Not only that, they have created a bevy of completely original content for the game system and an app such that if you started playing today, it would be a long time before you actually finished up. And let's be honest, with the amount of times that your players have frequently bailed out, you're never gonna finish. It's not just HeroQuest. They were able to prove they can work with Games Workshop licenses as well by creating Talisman 5th edition. And not only did they put their own spin on the Talisman universe, they have created, at the time of this video, it will be 3 expansions that are completely original. Now, this is not the video where we talk about the Dracula expansion, but there is going to be a Dracula expansion for Talisman this year. It's going to fall under the name convention of Talisman Sagas. So we're going to have Talisman Alliances, Talisman Nemesis, Talisman Sagas, introducing yet another kind of new mode of play, I would say. It's exciting stuff, but it all goes back to when I hear that Avalon Hill has acquired a Games Workshop license, I am excited. I mean, they were able to bring back Rogue Trader in the form of Market Fresh, which is absolutely an homage to the classic... No, wait, this has absolutely nothing to do with any of that, sorry. And wouldn't you know it, Avalon Hill has indeed acquired a license to the first edition came out in 1987, Games Workshop Classic. Any guesses? Any guesses? Fury of Dracula. It's not too late for Dungeon Quest. Don't be disappointed if you were thinking Dungeon Quest. The newest edition of Drakborgen is literally being sold overseas right now. It's not in English though, yet. I know how to play, so do I even care if it's in English? Well, the shipping is still exorbitant. Back to Fury of Dracula. Stephen Hand developed this game, again, back in '87. It is a fairly asymmetrical game in which one player assumes the role of Dracula, making movements across Europe. That's right, the entire continent of Europe is the game board. To make a move, you have to buy a plane ticket and fly to the countries, call your buddies and tell them where you landed. As Dracula, you will work to keep your movements secret and your actions covert as you spread your influence. Once your influences reach a predetermined number across the continent, you have won. However, the other players assume the roles of hunters. Their movements you can see. They can all see each other's movements on their board, and their goal is to find you and murder you. This particular post comes from W. Eric Martin over on Board Game Geek, and the article was published April 15th over on Board Game Beat, and I will put a link to this article in the description below. But it was shared with me via John at Talisman Island, so I will also put a link to John's article here, which links to that one, but John's got his own spin on this too. Fury of Dracula is kind of like the town bicycle at this point. Everybody's had a ride. It might be the worst analogy I have ever made. I did mention this was the 5th edition of the game that will be shown and played at Gen Con this year, 2026, before its release date, which I believe is September of this year. You see some beautiful miniatures here, which are all extremely consistent with the modern Avalon Hill miniature style, being HeroQuest, being Talisman 5th edition. These guys will fit in either of those games. I can already tell you with certainty perfectly. The proportions, the aesthetics, the design convention, they are all there. So these guys will all be interchangeable between the games. You can make your own Jonathan Harker hero. And as Jonathan Harker, he should have 1 mind point, 1 body point. Whoever plays him should be ashamed. He has no movement dice because he doesn't do anything. And then he loses because he never contributed anything to Dracula's story whatsoever. I absolutely hate Jonathan Harker in every rendition. I'm sorry. I love Keanu Reeves and I love Bram Stoker's Dracula from Francis Ford Coppola, but I hate Jonathan Harker. Where are my fellow Jonathan Harker haters? He's useless. Sound off in the comments below, please. Or if you're a Jonathan Harker apologist, spit it out. I want to know. Let's have that discussion. You've got a lot of other lots miniatures here as well. You obviously have Dracula himself, as well as Lord Godalming, John Seward, Dr. John Seward, and Van Helsing. You've got Mina Harker also, and she's just the stunning crowning achievement to this. Mina's one of the best characters in any of the versions of Dracula mythos there is. As is Van Helsing. Actually, I might put Van Helsing at the top and then follow him up with Mina. It's a tie between Mina and Dracula. I'll also forgive if people want to rank Renfield first, and to be completely honest with you, I kind of find it criminal that Renfield wasn't used in some way for the miniatures, but I suspect he may have a presence elsewhere in the game. Oddly enough, Fury of Dracula is being called out here by John at Talisman Island part of the Talisman realm, even though this is not the Dracula Talisman expansion that I mentioned earlier, but the actual separate Fury of Dracula board game, which in the past had no ties to Talisman whatsoever. This is being marketed as the Talisman realm, which I think is really interesting and worthy of speculation. Nomad Games has the license to Fury of Dracula on Steam from Games Workshop. It is considered a Warhammer Games game for some reason. But if you want to learn to play, then you can play the digital edition today. If you don't have access to any of the physical editions, it's $12.99. That's the normal price for it. It may also go on sale from time to time. Now, it would be completely remiss of me not to draw attention to the post that Nick Linendahl made on February 9th of this year when he pointed out that the wholesale catalog posting for Fury of Dracula had appeared on kidtoy.ca. Here's the distributor website. This is easy enough to find. You can Google and find this. I won't bother copying the link. It is worth noting it will be a typical 27 centimeter by 27 centimeter box. It'll weigh 1 kg, it'll be 6 centimeters tall, and it does have a UPC product code. It's got the UPC product code and the product code from the distributor. And although it's way too early to actually do any sort of Will It HeroQuest, I can tell you right now that the journey and entrapment mechanics that made this game very unique would absolutely have a spot if you were to use the old world map in some way. If you're playing classic HeroQuest, and if you're playing contemporary, if you can get some sort of version of the map that they would be using now, which I think Avalon Hill teased that they would be sharing said map at some point, some rendition, some version, some section of said map. We should be able to get a look at that, I would think, this year, if I'm being extra optimistic. I don't care if we ever get one officially. I think that the fan-made ones are great, but if they want to lend that fodder for all of the homebrewers out there, then that's even better, really. There's nothing more to say about this except thank you, John, for sharing this in the server, and I can't wait to see how it compares with the oldest edition of the game, which I will have in my hands to show you at some point here, definitely before the 5th edition releases. I really made that town bicycle joke earlier and didn't follow up on it. Fantasy Flight Games had the license and had a version of this, as did WizKids. The overall game mechanics got some revisions from designers Kevin Wilson and Frank Brooks as well. I would venture to guess Kevin Wilson was involved in the WizKids version of the game. But I actually don't know anything about Fury of Dracula and have never played it, so just as an added little treat, this will be the box for Talisman Sagas. It'll be another tall, skinty box. This is called Crown of Blood, and its listing page over on Kid Toy actually has a lot more detail, understandably, than the Fury of Dracula listing page does. You can see the back of the box, the description of the box here. Dracula and his minions have permeated the world of Talisman. Vampire slayers Mina Harker and Van Helsing are determined to dispatch the Count once and for all. Two worlds meld in this premium expansion, blurring lines and signaling something ominous in the horizon. We know that Dracula's castle is going to be an overlay for the center of the Talisman board, which I think is pretty awesome. I could definitely understand if some folks don't really like the licensing aspect of this. I'm really glad Avalon Hill was able to reach out to Bram Stoker and negotiate terms. I hope that they're compensating him well. It's also worth noting that this superior version of anything Dracula related completely lacks Jonathan Harker. I don't believe he's in this at all. We've got 3 character cards and 1 Dracula reference card, and I think the characters are Van Helsing, Mina Harker, and I think John Seward, if I'm not mistaken, and I very well could be mistaken, but I'm pretty sure John is just left out completely, which is the way that things should be. But Ash, John was the realtor who blah blah blah. I don't care. Everything he touches, he makes worse. This is not a dig on Keanu Reeves. I will watch him in anything. Ash, Dracula is public domain. The novel was first published in the 1800s, and Bram Stoker, I know, that's the joke. Whoosh. That's me responding to comments so that people don't make the comments and then I don't get the engagement. I shouldn't do that. I should let people make those actually posts at me. I'm only realizing that now. I hope you enjoyed this little presentation, and by the way, welcome home, brave heroes. I'm Ash, and this has been Ash Quest. Have a fantastic rest of your day, and I will see you in the next exciting adventure. Until next time, onward for now.